Welcome to the 1 Minute Apologist. Apologetics seeks to give credible answers to curious questions, to give a defense. Was the Old Testament canonized at Jamnia? Perhaps you were taught, like I once was, that there was a council at Jamnia in AD 90 where a group of scholars met together to decide which books are a part of the Old Testament. In his book, The Old Testament Documents, Are They Reliable and Relevant? Walter Kaiser, an Old Testament scholar, goes on to say, one of the most popular pieces of misinformation repeatedly affirmed by all too many scholars in the past 2 centuries is that a group of scholars at a rabbinical council held in Jamnia in AD 90 decided which books were ultimately to be included in the Old Testament canon. He goes on to say, the thesis that Jamnia determined the shape and content of the Old Testament canon has at least 3 basic flaws. And he describes the flaws as follows. He says, first, all deliberations by the council had no binding authority. Second, only the book of Ecclesiastes and Song of Solomon were discussed. And even that discussion was basically about how to interpret these books, not whether they were canonical or not. Third, the books that were treated as canonical in their discussions did not differ from the list found in Josephus. He goes on to say that Jack Lewis, whose doctoral dissertation on this matter corrected the previous centuries of misinformation in this regard, properly concluded that given these facts, quote, Jack Lewis would write, it would appear that the frequently made assertion that a binding decision was made at Jamnia covering all Scripture is conjectural at best, unquote. Now, Kaiser says, given the range of the Jamnia discussions, therefore it appears that the canon already was recognized prior to AD 100 when Jamnia took place. He concludes, attempts to show that some sort of council decided the issue had been declared bankrupt. In place of the defunct theory, is it possible to argue for a progressive recognition of the books as they emerge from the hands of their writers? Well, I like the way he talks about this, and I would encourage you to dig into this book. As I mentioned in my last episode, delving into the whole idea of canonization, you're getting into some murky waters right there, and it's probably not as lucid as we would like. Nevertheless, there are some distinguishing factors that can help us to understand how canonization took place, how they decided which books should be in the Bible, which ones shouldn't. And I just hope you'll dig into this whole discussion. It's fascinating, it's frustrating, and it's important for us to be aware of how our Bible came together.